Yo, welcome to the channel. In this video today, we're going over the Stamina Templar for the Deadlands patch. So let's go ahead and dive into it. Maximum health is 19.6, max stamina is 31.5, stamina recovery is 1.7, weapon damage is 4.5 on buff, weapon critical is 48.8. Now that is relatively low, but I still don't have any problems hitting the 35k. I would probably have more to show, but I screwed up the CP system. I didn't check it before I did the DPS test and realized I had um, something slotted that I shouldn't have. So that definitely kind of hurt the DPS test. But you won't have any trouble hitting somewhere between 35 38k with this setup. So, and if you want more critical, we'll go over that when we get to it. Physical penetration is 4.2k, and I have 64 points into stamina. Keep in mind, I am a Khajiit, so my stats may vary from yours depending on what race you are. Now, the boon I'm running is the Thief, and the food that I'm running is the Lava Foot Soup and Sultries. And we do use weapon power pots for the build because we don't have any other way to get major brutality. So, as you can see, our stamina recovery goes up to 2.1 and weapon damage is 5.3 without our weapon damage, without our weapon enchant proc from our back bar. So, overall, our weapon damage usually hits stuff buff around 6k. So, CP, Green Tree, passive wise, Gilded Fingers, Fortune Favor, just to increase our gold. From everything we get, Gilded Fingers 10% from everything, and Fortune Favor gives us an extra 50% gold from treasure chests and safe boxes. And then Steadfast Enchantment, when our weapon procs, our weapon enchant procs, this gives us a 50% chance to just negate that. It's basically free. So, I keep Treasure Hunter on my bar at all times because the increased quality of items I find in treasure chests. That's dungeons, trials, overlands. Doesn't matter. If it's a treasure chest, you can find better quality items. Now, this won't affect normal dungeons. If you're in a normal and you get a necklace, you're not going to get an epic or a purple. So it's not going to affect it like that, but you might have a better chance of getting a necklace or a piece of weapon or armor from the trial or from that dungeon on normal out of a simple. So, you know, basically just kind of betters your odds to get set pieces. So, and then I keep Plentiful Harvest and Master Gatherer on my bar at all times. Basically, Plentiful Harvest gives me a 50% chance to get double resources. Master Gatherer gives me a 50% reduced time in harvesting that node. Basically, I just keep these on while I'm waiting for groups, dungeons, cubes to pop. Doesn't matter if I'm waiting on something. I'm usually running around farming, and these are always helpful to have on. Another one that I always keep on my bar is Liquid Efficiency. And whenever you use a potion or poison, you have a 10% chance to not consume it. We are using potions. We're using weapon power pots. So this just gives me a chance not to have to use the resources on one or buy them. You know. So if you don't care for Plentiful Harvest and Master Gatherer, like those are just you don't care, you could always go with Steve's Blessing, which will increase your out of combat movement speed by 20%, and Rationer, which gives you an extra 30 minutes on your food or drink. So, in the red tree, there's so many passives, so we'll just start with the ones I keep on the bar. Balanced Vitality gives us 1400 max health. Fortified gives us an extra 1700 armor. Rejuvenation gives us an extra 90 health, magic, and stam recovery. And then over here, we have Bloody Renewal. When we land a killing blow on an enemy, we get an extra 1500 stamina back. So, now for the passives, Defiance reduces the cost to break free. Tumbling reduces the cost of roll dodge. Um, Hero's Vigor gives us an extra 560 max health. This is a really good one to have. And then Sprinter reduces the cost of sprint. In Wind Chaser here we have Hasty, which increases our movement speed by 4% while sprinting. Then we have Tireless Guardian, reduces the cost of block. Fortification increases the amount of damage you can block. Savage Defense reduces the cost of bash, and Bashing Brutality increases the damage of bash. And then in Walking Fortress, we have Nimble Protector, which increases our movement speed by 6% while we're blocking. And then a nice little one to have is right here. You can either go from this direction or this direction. Temperate Soul, just basically when we get knocked down or one-shot it for whatever reason. This will give us an extra 10% in our resources when we get resurrected. So it's just nice to have. Also, I guess while I have the extra points, I'm going to throw that in here. So, now, the blue tree passives, Precision gives us more critical chance. Tireless Discipline gives us more max stamina. Piercing gives us more offensive penetration. Battle Master increases our chance to apply martial status effect by 60%. And Mighty gives us an extra 100 weapon and spell damage to martial attacks, affects physical, poison, disease, and bleed damage. Now, when I DPS tested, I had this on my bar. When you deal direct damage, you heal for 7% of the damage done. So, I replaced it with Master at Arms and didn't redo the test. But I was close to 36k, so I was over 35k at least, close to 36 I think. I'm not really sure, I don't remember. So I just left it alone. So, but definitely don't really want to use this. You want to keep Fighting Finesse on your bar at all times, which will increase your critical damage and critical healing by 10%. This is just really good to have. Keep it. So, then I have Biting Aura, increase your damage done with area effect attacks by 10%. Thermometer, increase your damage done with damage over time effects by 10%. Master at Arms, increase your damage done with direct damage attacks by 10%. And then we have Deadly Aim, increase your damage done with single target attacks by 10%. So, honestly, get rid of Thermometer if you know you can stay behind the enemy at all times for a backstabber, or you can flank the enemy. This gives you an extra 15% critical damage done. But if you can't stay behind the enemy, like maybe you don't have an actual tank in the group and the boss is just kind of roaming around, you're not going to get as much use out of this if you can't stay behind the enemy. So it's best just to replace it with one of these. This is the normal setup that I would run. I would replace the Thermometer with Backstabber if I can. So that's just me. You don't really need this at all. I was just trying this out for some extra heals in something. We didn't have a healer either, and basically I was just trying to do a 1-bar setup, and I was using this. It worked out pretty well, but this isn't really that important, and I wouldn't run this at all. So that's just me. But this is a normal setup. You can even go with like Untamed Aggression if you wanted to over one of these. It's up to you what you want to do. Just run with whatever you feel comfortable. But this is my pretty standard setup. So sets. The first 5-piece set that we're running, Deadly Strikes. This comes from, I believe, Bruma. You get it for PvP through Alliance points, or you can buy it off of traders. I'm using Dagger Precise and a Mace Precise. You can definitely increase your crit even more. You can get over that 50 mark if you put another dagger here. Like that's really all you need to do to get over that 50% mark. Me, I just had a golded out mace and the dagger, so I just went with what I had. It's just kind of what I was running with, so that's kind of what I had. I just went with it. One with flame damage enchant, one with poison damage enchant. If you're relying on your enchants, if you're not and just want to use ground poisons, that's fine too. You really ain't got to worry about what the enchants on there if you're using poisons. We're running it on the weapons and jewelry, all 3 bloodthirsty. You can go 2 bloodthirsty, 1 infused if you wanted to, but personally bloodthirsty is better. And because we do not have an execute, I want as much weapon and spell damage as much weapon damage as I could possibly get when it comes to that end phase. Infused is really nice for the extra weapon damage. I think it gives you like 240 something. I could be wrong on that. But as you can see, once you get to that 10% mark, you're going to get around 350 extra weapon damage. So, and because we don't have an execute, that extra weapon damage is just nice. So, you don't have to be gold here. The jewelry does not have to be gold. You can definitely get away with purple and be absolutely okay. I've just been playing for a while and have gold, so I'm using gold. So, now, back bar, we're using the Maelstrom Bow. This comes from Maelstrom Arena. Normal, we're running it infused with a weapon damage enchant. Basically, all this does is increase the damage volley deals by 430 each tick. The bonus increases by 143 every time volley ticks, up to a maximum of 8 times. Like I said, this comes from normal Maelstrom Arena. It is very easy on normal. It might take you 20 to 30 minutes, but you can get through it with no problem at all. And just farm it to get this. It's going to increase your damage by 2 to 3k as long as you keep volley up. But it's going to do wonders. And so it's definitely worth going in there to get. If you don't want to use this, or if you don't want to bother with Maelstrom, it is a DLC. You got to have Vorsinia or ESO Plus. And if you don't have those, then just pick you up a deadly bow and then just run it on your back bar. Not that big of a deal. So now I guess I forgot and should go over Deadly Strikes. What Deadly does here is it gives us weapon damage, critical chance weapon damage, and increase the damage your damage over time and channel abilities do by 50%. The majority of our abilities are channeled. Um, our jabs, which is our main spamble, is a channeled ability. Uh, so it's just worth having. Um, I want to say um, also our one of our back bar abilities is a damage over time as well, or a channeled ability. Not sure how that works, but either way, personally, all I know is Deadly Strikes. You get the most out of it on a Stam Templar, so it's still good on a Stam Templar. So it's definitely worth using. So now the monster set that we're running is Stormfist. We're running two light, one divines, both divines with max stamina, both light. What this does is going to help us with our recovery a little bit, which really isn't needed on a Stam Templar. But when we deal damage, you have a 10% chance to create a Thunder Fist, to crush the enemy, dealing 1.9k shock damage every 1.3 seconds for 3 seconds to all enemies within 4 meters, and a final 16.8k physical damage when the fist closes. This effect can occur once every 8 seconds and scales off the higher of your weapon or spell damage. Now, this comes from Tempest Island. It's a very easy dungeon to do on Vet. Now, if you don't want to go in there and do it, if you're looking for something a little easier, the easiest dungeon to get into, get through is Fungal Grotto. You can get Crags, gives you offensive penetration, and when you deal damage, you have a 10% chance to spawn Dragolems that create shockwaves in front of you, dealing 1.5k physical damage every 0.6 seconds for 2.4 seconds. This effect can occur once every 6 seconds and scales off the higher of your weapon or spell damage. And there's also Selene's Web with Selene's. Gives you max stamina. When you deal martial melee damage, you call upon a primal spirit, mauls the closest enemy in front of you after 1.3 seconds for 8.8 physical damage. This effect can occur once every 6 seconds and scales off the higher of your weapon or spell damage. Now, those would be the three monster sets I would recommend. Stormfist is definitely the one I would go with normally. Now, if you're okay with light attack weaving, go with Crags. Crags, even on a light tune, um, it's going to have weapon and spell damage, and when you damage an enemy with a light attack, it puts a bone stack on them for 5 seconds, up to once every 0.5 seconds. At 5 stacks, an undodgeable skeletal hand attacks your enemy after 1 second, knocking them in the air and stunning for them 3 seconds, or dealing 11.2k magic damage if they cannot be stunned. Enemies then become immune to nightmare stacks for 4 seconds. Damage scales off the higher of your weapon and spell damage. Now, personally, this is a DLC dungeon. It comes from a hollow grave. I want to say it's relatively easy to go through. I mean, I went in blind my first try as a tank and had some issues on the fireballs, but once we got it coordinated, got it going, didn't really have any issues throughout the rest of the dungeon. But honestly, this or Stormfist would be the two monster sets that I would go with for overall the highest DPS you can get. That's just me personally. But Stormfist is definitely probably the easier of the two, and then Crags definitely being the most easiest, and Fungal Grotto 1. So, it's just me. Those are the monster sets that I would roll with. But use whatever you feel like. Use whatever works for you. That's just my suggestion. Now, the second 5-piece set we're running is Dagon's Dominion. Or Domain? Dominion? Oh, we're running the Dagon set. This is, we're running it all in the body, all divines, all with max stamina. And this is a set that comes from, honestly, I want to say it comes from, I forgot where this set comes from. I have not done. The Cauldron. Yeah, it comes from the Cauldron. There we go. I don't know why I spaced on that so bad. I'm sorry. But it comes from the Cauldron. You can do it on normal and just get the body pieces. It's not going to hurt nothing. So, it comes from the Cauldron. Pretty easy dungeon on normal. And basically what it does is it gives us weapon damage, max weapon damage, and then it adds 475 weapon and spell damage to your area effect abilities. All except for 2 of our abilities are area effect. And that is one we really don't even have to use, um, but I still like using it. But you could definitely drop it if you wanted to. And then the other one is Barb Trap for Minor Force. That's it. So, but all of our abilities are area effect. This is a really nice set to use. It just seems to work really well on a Stam Templar for me. So, I'm keeping this active at all times on the bar and just kind of running it all on the body. That's what I've been doing. And honestly, I've got a outfit on, but even taking the outfit off, the outfit in itself doesn't look bad. So if you're just starting out and just looking for a pretty cool little outfit in your Templar, it's not bad. It's definitely pretty cool looking. So me personally, I just like having pants on. Still roll the top, but I just like pants. So, but Dagon's is a really cool set for a Stam Templar, and I quite enjoy it myself. So I've been rocking with it since it came out. Plus, it's kind of funny that my character's name is Dagon, and this set is called Dagon, and it works great for a Templar. So, just seemed like the perfect fit. So, skills. Our main spammable is Biting Jabs. We launch a relentless assault, striking enemies in front of you 4 times with your spear. Spear deals 4.5k physical damage to the closest enemy and 1.7k physical damage to all other enemies. A strike reduces the movement speed of the closest enemy by 40% for 1 second. After activating this ability, grants you Major Savagery, increase your weapon critical rating by 2.6 for 8 seconds. Now, Major Savagery would be nice, except we get it from our weapon power pots, and we also get it from another ability we have on our bar. So, now Power of the Light. Summon an expanding beam of pure sunlight to doom an enemy, dealing 4.6k physical damage to them and copying all their damage taken from you for 6 seconds, and releasing 50% of it as an additional physical damage to them. Maximum copy damage 15.9k. Targets are also afflicted with Minor Breach, reducing their physical and spell resistance by 2.9 for 9 seconds. You can really get away, if you're in dungeons, without using Power of the Light. I would say DPS testing to use Powerful Light if you're on the 3 mil. If you're on the 21 mil, I don't think you don't really have to use Power of the Light. I wouldn't use it. But um, seeing how I mostly do 4-man content and test stuff on the 3 mil, so I'm not getting other people's buffs, I use Power of the Light. So it's just kind of the setup I use. Plus, it's still a nice little bit of damage. So, and it lasts for 6 seconds, and it kind of helps me just kind of keep with the rotation. So, Barb Trap. When triggered, the trap deals 4.6k bleed damage and additional 18.8k bleed damage over 18 seconds and grants you Minor Force, increasing your critical damage by 10% for the duration. The only reason why we have it here is for that Minor Force, plus it's a nice dot. When we're buffed up, this is around a 20-21k bleed dot. So, it's nice. Repentance. Concentrate the souls of the fallen, healing you and your allies for 3k health, and restoring 3,000 stamina to you for each corpse nearby. While slotted, you gain Minor Fortitude, Minor Endurance, and Minor Intellect, increasing your health, stam, and magic recovery by 15%. Then we have Camo Hunter here. While slotted, you gain Major Savagery, increasing your weapon critical rating by 2.6. You also gain Minor Berserk for 5 seconds after you deal critical damage from an enemy's flank, increasing your damage done by 5%. And then our ultimate is Flawless Dawnbreaker. Arm yourself with Meridia's Sacred Sword and dispense your retribution, dealing 13.5k physical damage to enemies in front of you, an additional 15.7k physical damage over 6 seconds. After activating your weapon, spell damage is increased by 300 for 20 seconds. So, now, you can definitely roll with Empowering Sweeps if you wanted to. But Dawnbreaker just hits so much harder because it is an area effect ability. And, well, plus the extra weapon damage that you get from the Fire Seal passive and the 300 from using this, to me, just kind of outperforms the Empowering Sweep. So, but you could definitely get away if you wanted to use that. If you didn't have Dawnbreaker, you would just use Ballista and Empowering Sweep. Use Ballista on your back bar and Empowering Sweep on your front bar. So, now, back bar, we have Endless Hell. Launch a multitude of arrows into the sky to rain down, dealing 1.6k physical damage to enemies in the target area every 1 second for 12 seconds, after a 2-second delay. Ritual Retribution. Exalt in Sacred Light this, well, let me go back. Endless Hell here, it's here, 14 seconds. Um, as you can see, 14 seconds, 12 seconds on this. Basically, right as the second one is about to expire, um, that is when you know it's time to start recasting these, because 12 seconds, 6 seconds. So if you're on top of this, right at the, I would say the 3 second mark left on this, if you have your buffs active, that's when you should switch to your back bar and start relaying your dots, starting with Ritual Retribution to Endless Hell, and then Power the Light again, and just keep it going. So, but this is also what gets buffed by our Maelstrom Bow. So we want to keep this down as much as we can, because it already does 1.6, and it's going to get even stronger due to the Maelstrom Bow as it ticks. Then we have Ritual Retribution here. It's also in the Sacred Light of Aedra, cleansing up to 2 harmful effects from yourself and melee. While in the area, enemies take 3.7k magic damage every 2 seconds for 12 seconds, which increases by 5% per tick. Allies in the area can activate the Purifying Synergy, cleansing all harmful effects from themselves and healing for 6.1k health. This ability scales off your highest offensive stat. So the damage of this, although it costs magicka, so it does kind of help us with our sustain a little bit, will also scale off of our weapon damage. Now, if you don't want to use this, you can go with Caltrops here, Razor Caltrop. This is a PvP ability, and you have to get your assault line 2-6. So you're going to haul. This deals 1.3k physical damage every 1 second to enemies inside and reduces their movement speed. It lasts for 10 seconds, and it also applies Major Breach to the enemy, reducing their physical and spell resistance by 5.9k for 4 seconds. So if you want to stick more stamina based, you can use Razor Caltrops for AoE. But personally, Ritual Retribution, it is in your Restoring Light Warrior. It's the second one, the second from last one here, and it just does more damage overall. So we have Barb Trap again on our pack bar, mostly just for the fire skill passives. So, and then we have Resolve and Vigor. Let loose the battle cry, instilling yourself with Resolve and healing for 16.2k health over 4 seconds. So it's just a nice little heal. You pair that with Repentance. Repentance will heal you and restore stamina if there's bodies on the ground. And this one is just a quick little heal for yourself. Very big. Restoring Focus. Create a rune of Celestial Protection. Gain Major Resolve for 20 seconds. Increasing your physical and spell resistance by 5.9. You also recover 242 stamina every 1 second over the duration. Standing within the rune heals you for 1.1k health every 1 second, which scales off your max health. So it's not a big heal, but it's a heal every second. So it just kind of works good, and you can literally just kind of stand in this. You'll be tanky. So if we're just standing here in this, our resistances go up to 18.6. So we're still a nice little bit tanky, and plus it's a nice little heal, and we restore resources. Now, if you don't need this, replace it. Throw on like Camo Hunter on the back bar, or if you want minor protection here, you can go with like Circle of Protection, but it's 4k stamina. It's so expensive. I would just put Camo Hunter on your back bar, because you don't even have to activate it, and you're still going to get the extra weapon damage from your fire skill passives, stuff like that, for it being on your back bar. And then we just have Dawnbreaker here, again, just for the extra weapon and spell damage from the passives of your fire skill. So, but like I said, if you don't have Dawnbreaker, just put Ballista on your back bar as your bow ultimate. It does a huge chunk of damage, but Empowering Sweep would probably be the one you'd use the most. You could probably open with Ballista, and then you start using Empowering Sweep from there when it comes to the dealing damage and stuff with your ultimate. So, when it comes to the DPS wise, 35.8, almost 36. Guarantee you it would have been closer to 37 if I wouldn't have had my CP messed up. If I would have had the right CP slotted instead of the little one that kind of heals you as you deal damage. You know, if I wouldn't have had this slotted, probably it would have been closer to 37. So, not a problem, not a big dip. This, I was trying something this morning. I don't know. I woke up and just kind of had I thought about something. And I was just like, I want to try it. Try using Radiant Impression at the end there as an execute. Critting, it was it still did like 30k, but after 2, I was pretty much out of magicka, 2 or 3, and the boss was still up. So it did kind of mess with me a little bit. So not worth using. So just just a thought. It was just something I tried. Didn't work out too well. So I just fired off a regular quick little DPS test with a normal setup. So when it comes to rotation wise, if you're using Restore and Focus, you'll put it down here. I usually can start off with this, and I don't need it after it first runs out. That's just me. If you need it, then you're going to have to cast it. It lasts for 20 seconds, so you would hit. I would do it every second rotation or so. Just throw that down, and then it would basically be like, so you have it on your initial rotation, and then it would be your third when you come back to your back bar the third time, and then the fifth time, and then the seventh time. You know what I mean? So, but you throw it down. I usually go Barb Trap, Pop a Pot, Ritual, Endless Hell, Bar Swap, Power the Light, and then throw a jab, Dawnbreaker. Throw a couple more jabs, Power the Light procs, throw it back up, throw off one or two more jabs, rotate, Endless, Ritual, Barb, and then just Power the Light should be coming back up. And just kind of keep it going like that. It's just nice and smooth. Basically, you just put Endless Hell down, you put your Ritual Retribution, you cast Power the Light when you can, and then in between, you just jab. It's not really a static rotation because, I mean, Power the Light is 6 seconds, so Ritual Retribution is 12, Endless Hell is 14, and then just instead of a jab, you just Dawnbreaker when you can. It's a very easy. Templars are very easy. I mean, you use a total of like 4 or 5 abilities. I mean, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then Dawnbreaker when your ultimate, so 6. So, and the rest of your bar has heals, and then just things you don't use. So, but it's very easy to do, very easy to use, um, and you just pop your pot when you can. I still love this setup. I still enjoy the Stab Templar. Um, so if you use something else, let me know. If you actually use Dagons, let me know. I haven't run across too many people that actually use this set. Um, so if you do, let me know in the comments. I'd love to find some other people that actually use this set and hear what they use it with, instead of just, if they just don't use just Deadly, what do they use with this set? So anyways, until next time, take care and have fun.